What is going on, man? Happy Saturday afternoon. I'm trying to steal Breezy away from college football because I know he's a big college football guy. His Michigan Wolverines won today, so that's a good thing. So at least he'll be in a good
Yes,
mood.
sir.
Uh,
Absolutely.
and we're working on something here where we're going to do something regular, but it's kind of be fluid. So I'm trying to get a name at least for the show that we could do on a weekly basis. Breezy's a busy man, and sometimes our schedules conflict. So like it might be like a thing, but it might not always be on the same day, kind of thing. You got to kind of roll with the punches. So as long as everybody understands that,
That's a
I think
dope
we'll be
name right
good.
there. Roll
How
with
was
the
that?
punches.
Roll with the
Roll with the
punches.
punches.
It's funny. Me and you were talking offline about what I wanted to start the show with you because I've been seeing a lot of absolutes on Twitter about because the Niners decided to make the choice of Brock Purdy, it's win or bust, and they better win with Brock or else. And I'm a little bit, I'm kind of pushing back on that a little bit, and you kind of have you kind of agree with it to a certain extent. That like the Niners made their bed with this guy, and now they're going to have to, quote unquote, sleep in it. And I think my thing is, and I said this to you off stream, is that like if we're basing everything on the premise of there's not enough tape to call one thing one way or the other with either quarterback, then if we're going to say like there's not enough tape that proves that Brock can win a Super Bowl, why is the argument then when we kicked it over to Trey Lance when he was still here that if they give it to Trey Lance, then that's their ticket. They're gonna take it with Lance and we're gonna win a Super Bowl with Lance. Like where was the proof behind that statement? If we're going on the premise of both guys haven't done enough, why is it with Brock people are you know what I mean? Like they feel like people feel like we chose the wrong guy when it comes to trying to capture a championship. What's your take? You told me off stream. Try to reiterate the
Yeah,
best you
like
can.
I mean, I mean, there are several ways to like look at this, and so when you look at Trey Lance when they drafted him and where they drafted him and what they gave up to draft him, and then what he was able to actually produce out on the football field, I'm not sure anybody felt like after they got a little bit of proof, I'm not sure anybody felt that he was the ticket to the Super Bowl. My take is that Trey Lance was the ticket to opening up this offense. So
Right.
that's totally different, kind of like from where you're going. So like my thing is Trey Lance can do things. Trey Lance had the ability to do things different, and we've seen it, right? We've seen him stretch the field. We've seen him get the ball down the field accurately, right? We've seen big play touchdowns. You saw speed. You saw a lot of different things with Trey Lance. Now, I'm not saying we won't get that from Brock, but they're just two different types of quarterbacks, right? They have two different types of skill sets with two different types of play. Now, at some point, I had to come under the conclusion and say to myself, okay, Breezy, like Trey Lance, Trey Lance doesn't fit what Kyle is trying to do. But I was under the assumption, Aaron, that Kyle was looking to amend his offense, right? Add to it, like, yeah, dinky dunk, quick throws, quick read, first read, but let's stretch it down the field. And the thing that made me feel that way, and it wasn't just because the fact that he drafted Trey Lance, was the simple fact that we saw that in the preseason, right? We saw where Trey Lance struggled and we saw where he didn't. That's a fact. But at the end of the day, for me, when I look at Brock Purdy and I saw what he did in the 7 games or in the 5 regular season games and in the 2 preseason games. And postseason games, I saw what he did. Like I'm all in. Like I believe he can do that. But since Kyle and John made this decision, they decided to walk on and move away from what they invested in, and they got something in return. It might not have been a lot, but they did get a return on their investment and traded Trey Lance. They decided to say we're putting our chips and our eggs in the Brock Purdy basket. Now, Brock Purdy was drafted in the 7th round, the final pick, and I'm not sure if any of that matters, but there's a reason why he went there. Maybe we just haven't seen it yet. And so, is Brock Purdy the answer? Is Brock Purdy the franchise? I think that would be my question. Is he the franchise? And people can say yes, people can say no, and some people can say I don't know. I haven't seen enough. And I think for that is why they feel like they haven't seen enough. They've only saw a small sample size of games during the regular season. They did see what he was able to do in the postseason, but at the end of the day, it still might not be enough for certain viewers, certain eyes. For me, I just feel like this particular season is not just on Brock Purdy. It's a head coach thing. It's Super Bowl win, victory, or it's a bust. Like there's no like, and the only setback is if there's an injury. But
Right.
then we have another question, because like, why do our quarterbacks keep getting injured? Why? Like that's what I mean. But if Brock Purdy stays relatively healthy, and we have a municipal amount of weapons, so if one goes down, we have 5 to 6 other weapons that should be able to keep the offense ticking. Can Brock Purdy do that? And from what I saw, yes. Like, I believe if he remains highly efficient, if he remains the guy that we saw last year, he doesn't have to be better. I'm sure he'll get better. I'm sure he'll be better, but he doesn't have to he doesn't have to do anything better. I do expect defenses to treat him differently this year. I do believe last year there were zero expectations. I believe this year there should be, if some people feel like there needs to be 100% expectations or whatever, that's fair to them, because they know that we put our eggs in the Brock Purdy basket. We're going with the 7th round draft pick who proved he can win under duress. Now, full off season, he's coming off of an injury, but at some point, I don't want that to creep back up. I feel like that's unfair. Let's not creep the injury back up into it. We know he's coming off of this injury, but guess what? He's deemed healthy right now. He's been named quarterback 1. He's the starting quarterback. And for me, Aaron, that's where those expectations should come in. And at the end of the day, he's going to have to live with them. He's the quarterback. So it's on his shoulders, unfortunately, in my opinion.
I guess my question is then, I'll kind of redirect it, is if somebody says, as a fan says, because people have said it, like, I just don't see us winning with Brock. And
I
that
don't get how
we
any
lost our
fan can
chance when we
say that.
traded away Trey Lance. We lost our chance at a Super Bowl. I guess my question is, what has Trey Lance done in that small amount of time that you've seen
Nothing.
that would give you the
Nothing.
like, because it's been put out there? People are like, we gave it away when we gave him up, and our chances.
I would love to know these people. There's nothing. I mean, there's nothing Trey Lance did to prove that we were a Super Bowl caliber team. The team was Super Bowl caliber, but there's nothing that Trey Lance did to enhance that. I said that I believe that if Kyle was willing to develop Trey Lance from the way that he played football into getting him to do some of the things that he wanted and the nuances of his offensive style, then we might have been able to open things up a little bit, right? It might have been, it might have looked a little different. Last season, when Kyle gave Trey Lance the keys and said he was the starting quarterback, we still didn't get that. It was a crazy monsoon game, and then it was run, injury. I probably added a couple more runs, right? So we'll never even know. We'll never even know. So I don't know how any fan can say that Trey Lance would have took this team to the Super Bowl. That's almost asinine, because he's 2-2. He's only won 2 games. He won a game his rookie season, and he won a game his sophomore season. I hate to call him a sophomore, but that's what he was, his second year. Right?
I think so.
He got the win for Seattle, is what I'm trying to say. And he didn't even play that whole game.
For me,
he lost Chicago and he lost Arizona. Those are losses. So 2-2. He played in 6 games. That, in my opinion, if we're talking about development, that's not enough to say that you saw enough in this quarterback. But that's for me. That's my interpretation. If the head coach said he saw enough, then he saw enough. And I know people out there. There was somebody on Twitter today that said, "Oh, it's funny how quickly I jumped ship on off the Trey Lance thing." And I'm like, jump ship? I mean, last time I checked, Trey Lance is a Cowboy, and I'm a 49er fan. I can't talk about Brock Purdy. I can't big up Brock Purdy,
right?
Because I like Trey Lance. I don't understand some 49er fans, but I think that's where you are. You don't understand as a 49er fan. You're trying to be like, yo, what do you mean?
Like
So
who I don't understand how you could say with an absolute, not you, but you could
no,
say with
I
an
got you.
absolute that Brock Purdy isn't the guy. You just don't see it. And then in the same breath say like, when we gave up on, Trey Lance,
That
I
sounds
just
emotional to me, Aaron.
to me it's like an emotional reaction.
Mhm.
If you're gonna go, like I said, if you're gonna go with the premise you haven't seen enough from Brock to get that, then what have you seen from Trey that gave you the feeling that they could win it with him? Like, I don't understand it. To me, I get it. When we drafted Trey Lance, Wayne, I was as happy as everybody else because I
Yes,
was like, oh, we're going to
he
take
was
this
a
offense
49er.
into the new
Eh,
millennium. We're going to be
mhm.
a more open offense with a strong arm quarterback who can move. Certain guys are going to get more touches, and guys are going to be more open because they're going to have to respect the quarterback run. Everybody got excited. And then you kind of saw from the very small amount of tape that we saw on him is that he was the type of guy who's really raw with the underneath stuff. Like the offense wasn't free flowing. And I am not a Jimmy Garoppolo guy, but to an extent, Jimmy Garoppolo in this offense had a certain rhythm to it when he wasn't throwing picks to the other team. And what Brock Purdy, that only elevated because I think Brock is smarter and sees the field better than Garoppolo ever did. And it's sad because we're essentially the 49ers of the 80s again, dink, dunk, slants, crossers. It's the same old, boring 49er offense. But I mean, if you think about who Kyle Shanahan's came from and where he kind of got a lot of his father got a lot of his stuff from, is it really too a bunch of a stretch to think that essentially in 2023, 24, we're still kind of running a variant of the West Coast offense, which is all about timing and quick, you know, accurate throwing and getting ball into playmakers who can make runs after the catch. It's the same offense. It's Taylor and Rice. Brent Jones is George Kittle. You throw an accurate short pass, and then the receiver is tasked with doing the rest. And that's essentially what Bill Walsh had to do when he was in was it Cincinnati?
Mhm.
Was it Cincinnati? And that one quarterback went down, and they had to bring in another quarterback who had like a weak arm, and that's where he kind of
He
essentially created the West
created
Coast offense.
exactly,
We're
exactly.
kind of running a variant of the West Coast offense with the stretch run game. It's like what they did in Denver slash kind of what they did back in the day.
That's exactly what it is. It's
It's
zone
exactly what this
run.
and it.
It,
See, I'm okay with that, but I like the deep ball too. Chicks dig the long ball,
yeah,
chicks dig the deep pass. So I do too.
I mean, you want that, and you want that to be uh with what is it, the sweets in the lunchbox, like you want that to be the treat, right?
Yes,
But I think what's in the lunchbox is what's essential, right? The stuff that you know
bologna
that's going to be,
sandwich,
yeah,
milk.
I don't know if it's nutritional, but it works, right? It gets you moving. And so I don't think that there's a quarterback on this team that operates this system better than Brock Purdy. I It was Jimmy Garoppolo. Damn sure wasn't Trey Lance, and now it's Brock. Like that, and Brock is better than Jimmy, in my opinion. Like he's a better version and operating this system than Jimmy Garoppolo. And some people are very systematic. They can be a quarterback in the system and operate it well. Some people are outside the box thinkers and they ad lib. There's no set. They just can play. They have the gift to play football. And Brock Purdy kind of can do a little bit of that, but then when he's asked to do something to dial it up, that's what he does well. So I'm gonna give him his props because he hasn't done anything to deserve any discredit other than the fact that he held that ball a little too long, in my opinion, which led to his injury. I'm not saying he got injured or he injured himself. I'm just saying if he got rid of the ball quickly like he normally does, there's no injury right there, and we're still the NFC Championship may still be going on right now. I'm just saying, but for me, for fans that are saying that we would have won a Super Bowl with Trey, that's possible, but it and from our coach's perspective, it was impossible because he couldn't do the things that Brock was able to do. Now, again, my preface, and I want to make sure I'm saying this on your platform. My preface was when we draft Kyle Shanahan stood up at the podium after getting his ass handed to him against the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen and said exactly what type of quarterback he wanted. I took that and I started scouting who would be or resemble that. It was Trey Lance. And that's why I thought that the 49ers would draft Trey Lance, which they did. And I said to myself, okay, here we go. Now, for me and my like Trey Lance inexperience and just not playing enough football is setback number one due to COVID. That's his first setback, right? His second setback was, according to Kyle Shanahan, and I call bull crap, was the finger injury, the broken finger injury, right? That was his setback too. Kyle said that's why he couldn't get him into Morgan. Kyle, you told us you wasn't going with two quarterbacks, and that's why I call bullshit. Like, you said that. Trey Lance came in and scored, and every time you put him in, he was like, oh, he almost scored a touchdown. And all of a sudden, whether it was running it in, he threw one in, I think in his first appearance against, was it Detroit? And then all of a sudden, you sit there and say, oh, he had a broken finger and it hindered his game. Maybe it did, but don't use that as the scapegoat, because he still scored after the broken finger and a preseason game. He still scored. Now, he didn't look good in the Cardinals game, which he had to start, but you also made him run the ball 95 times. Like, for me, Trey wasn't developed. Therefore, he never got a chance to blossom, in my opinion. Now, in his last stint with the Niners, the last preseason game, those boots to the right and the boots to the left and the quick throws, for some freaking reason, I don't care if it was against team threes, team twos, or whatever, he was highly accurate. He led the team to win their only preseason game, and then he's traded, which is good. It upped his value, and it got him a job, or it got him a spot or opportunity to get a job. Kyle made the decision, in my opinion, Aaron, to move on from Trey Lance the moment Brock Purdy couldn't lose. And how can you knock that?
He said there was three. It took him 3 games.
How can we knock that? How can we knock that? We can't. Brock Purdy did the inevitable, and we almost, even though it doesn't count, we almost had an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. So for me, I'm just like, all right, cool. I don't think Trey was developed properly. I don't think Trey was developed in the way that I thought that they were going to develop Trey Lance and stretch the offense and make it different. Let me say that. But Trey couldn't, without reps, without his health on his side, he couldn't develop into that West Coast quick throw system. He just didn't.
But I don't think he was ever that quarterback, because he wasn't out of college. Got exactly where I heard this from. You're like, if you watch his tape,
he wasn't. He was pro style. Straight.
He was a guy who ran around a lot, and they ran a lot of option stuff, and he was on the move. And now all of a sudden, you're bringing him into a team, and you're like, all right, you're going to hit 7 3-step drops, hit your back foot, throw it accurately, short, over the middle, slants, crossers, digs, comebacks, the same old stuff that we see from the 49ers all the time. And you were trying to create this version of him that I don't think was authentic to the player. I think that the 49ers, what you see in Brock Purdy, and to some extent what you saw with Garoppolo, is kind of what Kyle's looking for. That's why people connected a guy like Kirk Cousins a lot, because he's just, he's a pocket quarterback, quick reads, throws to the receivers, lets the receivers take care of it.
That's weird, because you don't, when you look at Kirk Cousins, I don't see Brock Purdy and I don't see Jimmy Garoppolo. There's no way you see any comparisons in those styles of their quarterback play. Brock, listen, let's go back to let's talk about Minnesota football real quick.
Okay.
Let's talk about, before Jettas, his wide receivers were Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, right? Mm-hmm. And them cats wasn't running screens and yak plays to get open across the field. They just
they were going deep. That's true.
They were running routes and they were going deep. Then he gets Jettas, and then Jettas comes in, and now he's still a deep guy, a route runner, but he can go deep. He's getting the ball down the field. I just feel like maybe that makes him different. I think Kirk might struggle, and maybe the whole Kirk thing was bull crap too, because I think Kirk might struggle in the quick, efficient throws. Our team isn't. I don't think our team is built for that, Aaron.
I don't think Debo's built for a deep passing game.
No, I don't think San Francisco was built for that. The offensive line is not built to hold people past 3 seconds. Think about it.
No, you're
right?
right.
The offensive line are leaner, quicker offensive linemen that could get out to the second level to put their pads on somebody.
Yep.
Like screens, runs, outside zone, right? Footwork. They got to be quick on their feet. They got to run their 10-yard splits. Man, if you can get, I'm curious to do an exercise. I'll do this off the air. I know Trent Williams was high. I'm curious to do the 10-yard splits on the starting offensive line. I guarantee you the average is probably from like one, maybe 1.8 something. I know it ain't in nowhere near the twos, but that 1-yard split for them big linemen, if they run in a 1.7 or 1.8 or something like that's good. But it doesn't help the 49ers much in the pass protection game. It just helps you when you're trying to get rid of the ball quickly. And
Right.
that's what the Niners do.
It's this is the only thing that could stop this conversation from continuing is if they win a Super Bowl this year. Otherwise, it's gonna be talked about ad nauseum, unfortunately.
Well, I think the conversation pivots. I think like is the expectation for Brock Purdy and the 49ers to get back to the NFC Championship game? Like
No, it's to win a Super Bowl.
Well, I'm just saying, is that the minimum?
Not for some people. I really don't know.
What's your expectation for Brock and the Niners?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, the amount of chirping that some of the Niners did last year after we lost, I guess my expectation would be Super Bowl because according to most of the team, we got shortchanged because of the quarterback injury and they didn't beat us full strength. To me, that you put a lot of pressure on yourself though. Like I know, Hassan Reddick is saying like, let's do this. You know, he's waiting.
He can't wait till week 13, right? He already talking and chomping at the bit.
He's right. We did a lot of gum bumping. We talked. Now it's time to put up or shut up. Do I think we have the dogs to do it? Yeah. If we're healthy, and we get a certain player back really soon, who we're going to talk about very shortly. That guy needs to come back. But like the Niners have enough talent on this team that anything short. I mean, I hate to say this, but like anything short of a Super Bowl appearance is, I think, is a failure. Just based on all the talking we did after last year, and the fact that we went with Brock, and we're pretty much saying we're putting everything in Brock's corner, and then we jettisoned Trey Lance to, out of all teams, the Dallas Cowboys. Steve Young is pissed.
Absolutely.
He's like, never with the Cowboys, never.
You don't trade anything to the Cowboys.
Oh, I'm sorry, Steve. Yeah, he still has those Haley flashbacks. That's why.
Hey, look, it's the Cowboys, though. I mean,
that's
the most hated game in America. Like literally,
it's just they're always crowned every year, and they never accomplish anything. It's so annoying. I
understand, and they call us whiners or whatever like that. But think about it, like that will always be one of the most rivaled, like non-division games. Like they're in the East, we're in the West, but because of the history, it's very tough, right? It's very tough. Look, the way I see it for me, when it comes to Brock Purdy, I'm not saying he can't lose. That's not what I'm trying to say. He doesn't have to go undefeated, when it comes to Brock Purdy. But I still expect him to be nothing less than what he was. So that's efficient. That's it. That's all I'm asking. If he's efficient,
you looked at in the preseason for the little bit. I mean, every time they got the ball, they moved it right down the field easily.
They did.
So,
but it was against vanilla defenses. See,
it was against vanilla.
Right.
You gotta always.
That's the little bitty context you got to kind of throw in there. And week one, they're gonna come. Week one, we're on the road. So that's adversity one. Adversity two is I'm not sure how much. I'm not gonna sit here and say he's not thinking about the injury, because when you get injured and you have surgery, it's always, oh no, is Marvin Harrison hurt? It's always, oh no,
Junior.
Yeah,
I was about to say Marvin Harrison. He don't play no more.
Oh, he took a butt hit to the ground. That's all. He's good. It's always tough to come back from an injury, not physically but mentally. Like, can I take a hit? Can I do this in a game that really counts? Not not preseason, not exhibition. Yeah, you can get injured in the exhibition game, but it's still tailored fit to not like injure the quarterbacks, right? But when it counts, you know what I'm saying? So like that could be some adversity for him. And I see Brock facing a lot of adversity this year. I mean, just the pressure of keeping the 49ers, you know what I'm saying? Like winning. Like that's a lot of pressure on his shoulder, but he knows. I think Brock is a very smart young gentleman. Like he knows that he has help. He knows that he has support. He knows those things. My only thing is if the defense if the opposing team's defenses come out there with different ways and different looks and different things that they show him that he's never seen before, which I'm expecting, right? Which I hope our coach is expecting, which is where you want to see Brock improve. So if he grows in that area and
Right.
remains the efficient guy, then he's going to be a very dangerous quarterback in the NFL. Very dangerous. So we're going to find out, man. Like week 1 on the road, do the 49ers got to put up 30 plus to win that game? Steelers don't lose at home. They're 8-1 in home openers.
It's
Oh,
going to be a tough
gosh.
game. This would be a game where it would come down, might come down to a field goal kick.
Possibly.
Don't even
and,
get me
and people
started.
they hating on him too. I just don't get why we hate on our own players. I never understood that, right?
I kind of that way because I'm a New Yorker. If
It's
you if
just
you grew,
he's a
I expect a lot out of my team and my players, and
you can expect you can have your expectations. That's fine.
I
But
don't
to
hate in like a personal sense ever.
yeah, but I just feel like the negativity on a
It don't help.
22-year-old kid that's trying to kick in the NFL, like, but you'll give grace to a quarterback. You'll give grace to the like these kids. He's a rookie, and
Right.
he's never kicked before, and he's trying to kick in the NFL and different lights, different stadium, different. Like you got to give him. In my opinion, he just needs to go out there and kick.
Yep.
He don't have to shut up and kick. He just needs to go out there and kick. Literally, give him reps every opportunity that there is. And I'm hoping there's not that many field goal opportunities, but every opportunity
Right.
there's
I
a
hope he
chance.
scores some touchdowns.
Right. Every opportunity there's a chance we could kick the field goal. Let him come out there. If he misses, oh well. If he's you could I know I sound like I'm saying that because I'm sticking up for the kid. If it's too bad, if it becomes too bad, there's always options. So you got to give him an opportunity just to see if it's bad. Maybe the quad injury was nagging and bugging him prior. We don't know. We just know he got a quad injury out of the blue, and he missed the 3rd preseason game.
Right. I want to ask you real quickly on we'll keep a Brock Purdy for a second, then we'll go to Nick Bosa. There was a Larry Krueger interviewed Joe Montana,
Yes.
and he brought up to Montana, and he goes, you did all these great things, and he goes, but a lot of similarities between you and Brock as far as accuracy, getting the ball out quick, making quick decisions, being able to read the field. And pretty much Larry said it was, he reminds him a lot of Joe. And Joe he doesn't go, of course he took the high road, but he did say that the similarities are there as far as like what he sees with Brock Purdy is just a guy that is comfortable and doesn't seem overmatched and has the ability to facilitate the ball and get it to his playmakers. So if Joe Montana sees that, and Joe Montana, I don't always really like to listen to because he's usually out of touch. I'm a big Montana guy as a player, but as a person, he's just if he's not selling something, he usually doesn't come on a radio show.
Yeah.
If it's just he's a businessman now. But what'd you think? Is Joe blowing smoke, or do you believe him?
I mean, Joe's always put that out there that Purdy. He always put out there the issues he saw in Trey Lance, right? And so now, like it's tough to say, but he was right. And so now, like he's putting the things out there that he sees in Brock Purdy, right? And I think the one thing that Joe Montana can do better than most coaches and scouts is evaluate quarterbacks. Why? Because he played the position. Eh, Like he literally played the position on the greatest franchise in the world. So
Yep.
you gotta listen. You don't gotta like, what am I trying to say? You don't gotta like take heed to everything that he says, but you definitely want to use him as a source and listen because he's saying something. So what I got out of it was that no, he doesn't compare himself to Brock Purdy or Brock, he doesn't do that. He doesn't compare himself to other players. Everybody's in their own individual, right? But what I got was he's excited to watch him play football. He feels like Brock Purdy has something. And that I will say Brock Purdy has something. I believe he has that it factor. And that you can't teach. That's something you're born with. You either have it or you don't. And so for me, that's why Brock Purdy just seemed amazing or electrifying the moment he came into the game with the unknown. I was weary about putting him in the game. I was like, no, he didn't look good in the preseason. Oh my gosh. And he came in the game and he was hitting quick passes, which got him into a rhythm, which allowed him to stay up, right? For the next several amount of games. I mean, he took a couple of bangs and hits, but Brock Purdy does look good. He looks good at being efficient, right? That's his thing. You're not asking Brock Purdy to do anything outside his comfort zone. His comfort zone is efficiency. I can make that quick throw off that first read. I'm going to throw the ball there. You just make sure you catch it. And that's what you get from Brock. And what that does is it just moves the chains, right? 2 yards here, 3 yards here, 7 yards here, 9 yards here, 11, 15, right? And so it just continues to move the chains. And not only does it move the chains, it just wears the defense out. It just wears the defense out.
And in a game like this coming week 1, I mean, this is going to be a game where our defense might be tested.
Hell yeah.
The best thing to do to help our defense is to possess the ball, and score. Don't possess the ball and kick punt, punts and field goals. Actually score some touchdowns because I do think that Brock Purdy in this offense can score touchdowns, which is something he proved when he was in last year. I know a lot of people will say, well, he was carried and they played bad defenses and they were hurt and this and that. Man, you could literally, the way I look at it is you go with what you're presented with, and that's how you rate people. You have to stop with all this. I mean, context is cool for some things, but like if you're gonna poo-poo on like the defenses that a guy played against, he couldn't help that. That's who was in front of him, and they did well against those defenses last year, regardless if they had players hurt or whatever. So, Nick Bosa, where the hell is he? The last report was he's looking to be the highest paid defensive player in the National Football League, and his contract would surpass Aaron Donald at $31 million a year. There was talk yesterday that there was a $4 million gap between the 49ers and what him and his agent are looking for. Just what's your overall kind of, are you as tired as me of just can we just sign this cat and get him in here, please? Like enough is enough. That'll at least change a little bit of the negativity that seems to be swirling on the Niners right now.
I mean, the Niners are just like a negative cloud, right? And so like this is what there's more pressure. That means if the Niners can sustain and win this game on the road, week 1 on the road without Nick Bosa or whatever, finally I feel like you can alleviate that cloud. Like the cloud can start to kind of like shift its own way. And it might help the Niners in their leverage and signing Nick Bosa. Look, we don't need you. We just beat this. No, I'm just playing. But look, we all know that there's going to be a deal. We all know a deal is going to get done. The question is when. The question is what are the parameters in the deal? That $4 million gap is just essentially saying, listen, the highest paid defensive edge is making 28 and the highest paid defensive player of the year is making 31. So at that point, Nick Bosa, I want 32. Like that, I think that's kind of like where it is. 31 plus million. I think Donald is at 31.6, and I think Bosa would be the highest at 31.7. And the question is, do the 49ers want to make him the highest paid non-quarterback in the league? And I believe that they do, but it affects them down in the long run, which makes it a little bit difficult when you have other high salaries such as Trent Williams making 20 plus, 28 plus, Eric Armstead. I don't think Fred Warner's in the 20s, but George Kittle is in the 18s. So like you have a bunch of players. Deebo Samuel's 26 or something million is going to kick in at some point, right? It's going to be a high number. I know it's in the 20s. So like how many 20s? 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20.
Let's not forget Armstead.
And Armstead is 23, right? So like
that's ridiculous.
I mean, it's ridiculous now, but think about the pay cut he took then. See what I'm saying? And that is where, my friends, the backloading can come and hurt your team. So you took the chance. Armstead said, hey, I won't take that much money for the first several years or whatever. Now, there could be restructures, but again, if you restructure a contract, that means you're just changing up the terms of how it affects the cap currently, which they're not going to do now, but next year you might see that, but you still got to pay them that money. That means you still got to pay them down the road. This could be when they retire or whatever. So the Niners called dead money. So the Niners can still be on the books, even if it's dead money for players that aren't even near. For example,
D Ford is still on the books.
8-point-something million, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And that's after he did his restructures to help the team so that the team can pay other players. Yeah. And look.
And he hasn't played with us since 2021.
Right.
That's crazy.
And I don't know if he's officially retired or whatever, but Alex Mack still getting money too. And he retired. So like, it's not just D, but Alex Mack, who decided to call it quits after that run.
Sucks. I mean, but I told my brother, I was like, we can't live in this thing where like, we're going to try to keep everybody all the time. I feel like the Niners eventually, they have to make a decision on what they want. Do you want to go all in and spend a bunch of money and pay a bunch of people? Or do you want to play it safe and kind of be on the periphery all the time?
But does safe always win? Like, you saw what the Rams did when they went all in. Now, where are they now? Cap purgatory.
Oh, they have no talent.
But here's the thing. Guess where their money is? Guess where our money isn't tied up in?
Quarterback.
There you go. So that makes us different. Believe it or not. Like,
I agree. I totally agree that it makes us different. But at what point do we kind of just like, okay, are we going to just do what the Rams did and go pay a quarterback and just say, let's do it?
No, like, I don't think the 49ers MO is to pay a quarterback ever. I think they'll draft another guy that can come in and be efficient. And you just
replace Purdy.
and then you replace Purdy after year 3. Like,
that would be sad. I mean,
because look, let me ask you this question. Purdy is going to have to do what to command some type of a contract in his last year?
Chip. He's got to get that chip. He's got to be an integral part of getting a chip. He can't be along for the ride like Jimmy, where he's just hanging on while everybody's doing all the work. He would have to be an integral part, which means, performing well in big games and getting us, that coveted Lombardi that, guys like me and you who are approaching like 44 years old, like, we haven't saw the Niners win a championship since I was a freshman in high school. 94, 95 was my freshman year in high school. That's the last time we won a Super Bowl.
That's the last time we won.
That is crazy, dude.
Same here. We're in the same boat.
29 years.
And we've been there twice since. And we couldn't win. We couldn't beat the Ravens. We couldn't beat the Chiefs.
That was heartbreaking. Because my nephew's a young Niners fan. He's almost 30 now, but I remember because we had lost that Super Bowl. I'm trying to remember. It was the 2013-2014 season, right? That we played against Baltimore. So my dad passed away in October 31st, 2013. So like, to me, them not winning the Super Bowl, it was like I wanted that distraction.
I understood.
And I remember me and my nephew sitting there after it ended and just being like,
it was the 2012 season, but it was in 2013. Like, Super Bowl is always the following year of that season. But that defense was scary. Oh my gosh.
Oh no, because the 2013-2014 season was the year that we went to Seattle and then Bowman tore. Yeah, and then
ACL.
and then Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa. I wish.
And then Colin Kaepernick, and that was the tip pass with Richard Sherman. Like, he just couldn't get it over his head.
Don't ever, blah 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 blah. But we came to love. I came to love Sherman. He's actually a really good cat. So
yeah,
I hated him back then.
Tough breaks, man, for Niner fans. Tough breaks for Niner fans. But
we're still better than the Bills. They're 0-4. We're 5-2.
See, you taking shots now, and look,
because I live in Bills country, and I'm talking. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what's amazing to me though, what I know what a franchise quarterback is, right? But why can't Brock be somewhat after a full season of football be considered in the conversation of being a franchise quarterback, win, lose, or draw?
Because they're going to look at his physical traits and be like, "There's no way he can even be in that discussion."
Impossible. But if we get to the championship game and we don't win, why can't he be a franchise quarterback? I mean, Josh Allen ain't won shit. Matter of fact, the only franchise
Right.
quarterback that's won is Patrick Mahomes, and he's won
That's it.
twice.
Burrow ain't won.
Burrow ain't never
either.
win. Burrow ain't never winning, but he a franchise guy. And Jalen Hurts ain't probably gonna win, and he a franchise guy. After they would get ready to throw him in the trash.
So
Remember?
the Niners are going to show a new way to win championships. Which
I
is
think
like
they're gonna without a franchise quarterback.
they're going to reset. They're going to reset how teams build their rosters.
That's it. And they're
going to be
the
like,
precedent.
this is what you do. You take a 7th rounder.
No, here's what you do. You trade a couple of you say F those picks and you trade some first round picks to get a quarterback prospect that is not totally nowhere near of what you do. It's something totally different. It's going to be a distraction. And then the next year you draft.
For argument's sakes, his name is Trey Lance.
And then you draft another quarterback the next year, right? You just take a flyer on another kid. It doesn't matter who it is, but find a kid that fits the system. He might just need some reps. That's Brock Purdy. Then you go out in free agency. You get rid of the expensive guy on that badass contract that they had no choice but to sign at the time they signed with Jimmy Garoppolo. And then you go ahead and you give your guy a shot. And you see what happens with the 7th round pick. And for some reason, it's working out for the 49ers. Now, the question is, what will this season be like? And so I don't think we're going to have much of the issues on the offensive side more than I think we are on the defensive side. And the defensive side has been the strong suit of this organization for the past several years. And so now when Nick Bosa is not out there, I think the defense is weak. And it's not a shot again at Fred Warner and or Eric Armstead, Mooney. It's not a shot at them. It's just that Nick Bosa is the pass rush. He is the pressure.
Yep.
So if there's no pressure, and this is not a shot at Cleveland Farrell, Drake Jackson, Austin Bryant, Kerry, not a shot at them. East Coast, what's going on? It's not a shot at them. My question is, if you need, it was with Nick Bosa had 19. How many sacks he had last year? 18 and a half.
18 and a half.
And how many sacks did Charles Omenihu have? 4.5. And then Samson Ebukam have 4. There was all the players combined didn't even match up to the amount of sacks that he had.
They had a little over 40 sacks.
Yeah, and minus 18 and a half.
And you look at the Eagles who had almost 80 sacks last year.
So I'm not saying sacks are everything. I'm more concerned. I'm more
pressure
enlightened by the pressure, right? Because the pressure is knocking the quarterback out of rhythm.
Which is something I think we struggle with sometimes.
We struggle with it.
You see guys back there patting the ball.
I swear to God, if I see if I see Kenny Pickett having time for his receivers to get open, I'm gonna lose my cool.
Who are you gonna blame? You gonna blame the new defensive coordinator?
I can't. How can we blame Steve Wilks if he took this job knowing he had an ace in the hole, and the ace not out there? Now, if the ace is out there, still you gotta give the time the ace to get ready. But once he gets his full arsenal of stuff, we better see Steve Wilks. But again, there should be some type of growing pains.
I want to see one of these young guys step up on the other side.
Like who? Oh, the edge rushers?
I want to see Drake Jackson. Come on now.
I just don't think that
I don't think he's that guy though.
He's not an edge rusher. What you want from Drake Jackson is to set the damn edge, right? And to get and to find a way to be effective just in the pass rush. I don't expect him to be a high sack rate guy. He doesn't have the speed as D Ford. Like none of those guys do. Like, and that's what we're missing on the opposite end. We're
missing a guy who can push the pack, who can push the pocket. Because you remember when you had the 4 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, guys were they were convening at the quarterback a lot of times when Bosa and D Ford were pushing it, and then you had Defoe and Armstead in the middle. That was fancy. And then he even had Ronnie Blair, who was one of my favorite players before he tore his knee up in 2019. Yeah, we had our defensive tackle, Mr. I forget. He went to the Broncos. His name's escaping me.
Yeah. went to the Broncos. Defensive tackle?
Yeah.
Oh, DJ Jones.
DJ Jones, like that was a really good defensive line, like depth wise. We were good. It's and I haven't seen anything since. Like last year was frustrating. It's like, man, if Bosa wasn't back there wreaking havoc, it was just a whole lot of nothingness. So let me see. I want to kick it over to something that we've already kind of discussed, but I wanted to kind of get like, put the cap on it. Do John and Kyle deserve the heat that they've been getting from just from the move to trade Trey Lance after what they gave up, and then to them not being able, they didn't address it right away. Okay, they hid from the media. They put Fred Warner out there like a sacrificial lamb. And then Shanahan does a radio interview that's pre-recorded with preset questions.
Oh yeah.
Out of all people, Tom Tolbert, like get the hell out of here. Like really, Tom Tolbert? He's not even a football guy. All he does is talk about beer. So I don't even want to hear about it. Like that whole series of events over those 2 days pissed off a lot of Niner fans, including myself. Like I don't go on Twitter and cry and scream like a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm.
Where like you actually are like, did you have a job? You're on here all day. But I understood like where the vitriol was coming from. But I guess my question to you, because I do think they deserve some heat. Do they deserve a lot of the hate they're getting right now for just the mismanagement of Trey Lance?
They deserve it for mismanagement, still not finding a way to get us a championship. Like they deserve it. And that's what they signed up for. You know what I'm saying? So Kyle and John got to figure out how to get this team to a championship game and be successful. Kyle hasn't won. He's 0 for 2 in the Super Bowls. That's a fact. No matter how you want to look at it, no matter what the context is, he's 0 for 2. I would say, in my opinion, I just feel like freaking oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. I feel like John Lynch is doing a damn good job. He from his first season as a general manager to now, I think he's doing a pretty damn good job. Him and the team.
So they taken a shit roster and made us relevant.
they did, and
that's
so
true.
So my question back is relevancy. Is that okay? Is that what the goal was?
No, we won a championship, and so did they.
Right. And then there was
some fans are okay with relevancy though, as long as we're in the dance every year.
There's a series of unfortunate events that always find a way to continue to happen to the San Francisco 49ers. And then after that, it's just like, oh my gosh, we went from the injuries to the drama team, like, right? So it's just always something. So I just feel like Kyle Shanahan, and John Lynch, they got to figure out a way to, just to make it happen. And we got to also figure out a way to support those guys and continue to keep the faith, right? Because at the end of the day, like, that's who we are. So humans make mistakes. There's nothing we can do. The question is, how do we learn from the mistakes that we've made? So all I wanted Kyle Shanahan to say for me is that he made a mistake and they're moving on. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't say we gave him the opportunity and it didn't work because he got injured. No. F that. Say we messed up. We made a mistake and now we're fixing it.
And we didn't put the work in to give them a chance to grow.
Don't even say that. Just say we fucked up. That's it. That would have sealed the deal, Aaron, and now we can move on. Now everybody can move on. I've moved on, but everybody can now move on. Oh, they made a mistake. They're apologizing. You don't even got to say I'm sorry. If you say that, everybody be like, all right, cool, we get it now. We knew that. We were just waiting for you to say it. So if they just said something similar to that, cool. But don't sugarcoat it and beat around the bush and pre-record this and have these questions. And no. That means you're hiding something. You're still lying about stuff. We don't need the deceitfulness. We just want to win. I think fans just want to go to the damn parade.
Yeah. What about Mayoka pushing back a little bit on Kyle in that press conference?
It took him how many years? It's about damn time.
Yeah, listen, and I have been very critical of him and Barros being spineless when it comes to questions. I think they're both fantastic reporters who do a fantastic job. But in order to get in good with a franchise and become the guy that they go to for exclusive interviews, is that you do their bidding and you make them look good. You create this image. I love Grant Cohn to death. You know, we don't agree on a lot of stuff, but like the reason guys like him get hate is because like he'll ask that question that will piss people off. That like those guys are looking over at him as he asks it and being like, "Did he really just ask that? He knows he's not supposed to ask us that." Like other guys are in really good with the organization because they don't ask those types of questions. But sometimes those questions need to be asked, and people need to be forthright and be honest. And I just got a really weird feeling out of those press conferences with the whole Trey Lance thing. Kyle's attitude toward Mariota was a little weird. Oh, he's like, well,
It started
what?
off weird, right? Because didn't he ask him, was it weird? Was it a weird situation? Like everything about the word weird was used weirdly too many times.
Yeah, it was weird that it was weirdly used too many times. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so except for like the way I took it was like, Kyle, and you have to answer the questions. That's your job. Right. So whether you like the question or not, your job is to answer it, deflect it, do whatever it is you got to do. But Kyle has to get in that question and out of that question. I will say that I don't think the question, well, I see you saying not weird, unusual, unique. I don't think the question was weird. The situation was weird. And that's all Matt was asking, because Jimmy said that it's weird and everybody has been feeling it's weird. And if you don't feel that it's been weird, come on. Like people are still crying that we traded 2 first-round picks and swapped another first-round pick for a guy that didn't even get utilized. Like people are still angry about that. That means it's weird, right? That means it's a weird.
What did you
situation.
think of Garoppolo's comments and his dig? I thought for a guy who the Niners,
they was beefing. They were beefing. Colin Garoppolo, they were beefing. They had serious beef.
why? Because maybe he thinks that Kyle. I always got the vibe that Jimmy didn't care as much as Kyle did. I thought I thought Jimmy was a businessman. I don't think he loves football the way.
Nah.
You don't get that vibe?
I think Jimmy loved football, but Kyle did what Kyle did to Jimmy. What Kyle did to Trey Lance, he was doing to Jimmy too. So like at the end of the day, like Jimmy knew like that he probably knew that he knew the team was going to move forward with him because they traded up to get Trey Lance, right? That's the first ticker, right? That was weird. Then on top of that, he knew that Kyle was going to probably keep Trey in the box, which is what he did to Jimmy too. That's why that last season Jimmy was here when he renegotiated his contract and did the whatever to stay here, come back for that one season. Man, did you not see a different Jimmy? Did you not see a more confident Jimmy? Did you not? It was something different. It was basically like, hey man, like F Kyle. And then in the presser, there was a presser where he didn't look good. I was just calling the plays the coach told me to call. He threw him under the bus at the end of a loss. That's when I realized Jimmy was saying F this organization, because at this point, he knows why he's here. He's here to kind of like keep it afloat, which he was. He was the insurance policy that year.
Do you think that's why a lot of players loved him? Like Kittle, like McGlinchey, like Juszczyk?
I mean, I think he's a great guy. Like, I think he was fun to be around, a great guy in the locker room. Right? A great guy to be like. I think that's why they loved him, but they might have felt like he didn't get the opportunity he should have got. Even though he was out there, he wasn't able to be Jimmy. And I don't even know what that is. But at the end of the day, Kyle needs guys that are programmable. Like every time he has a quarterback that he can program, like it works. But then when there's a quarterback that'll give a little bit of pushback, just a little bit, they end up in the doghouse.
So that's probably what's going to happen to Purdy down the road. As soon as he starts pushing back, they're going to get. They're going to get somebody else.
I don't think so. I don't think Purdy can do that. I think he realizes that he can't do it. He's watched it twice. I don't think he can do it. I think he realizes how it's going to be.
So he's had to humble himself and let Purdy
very much
because
so.
Purdy has a very alpha personality. Mm-hmm. He's not a passive aggressive weenie, you know. He puts
Very not. He's super confident, right?
for a little dude who,
He's which
people crack on him for his
I
size.
love, bro.
He acts like he's 6'4".
He oozes confidence.
He's got with what's his name used to have, Machismo, friggin' the wrestler,
I don't.
Reza Ramon.
Wait, he was yes.
Because he oozed machismo, and then
Yeah.
Macho Man was, yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
I think there's now I have to have somebody make a freaking, instead of Brock Purdy, be like Brock Lesnar. I got to get like machismo. We got to have Brock Purdy dressed up in the Razor Ramon outfit. That would look really creepy though.
Razor Ramon.
Back when wrestling was corny as hell, but cool. So
it wasn't corny to me. Those storylines were dope.
It was real to me, dude. What's your thoughts on the kicker situation going into week 1? We touched on it a little bit. They did sign Matthew Wright, I think he's an ex-Steeler. He played with the Steelers.
Did they sign him?
Did they sign him to the practice squad? I don't know if they signed him.
I don't think it was ever made official that he signed to the practice squad. I think it was saying that he was going to sign. The 49ers
you're right. I don't know if it's actually officially happened yet.
He was there at the practice, but I don't remember them signing him.
At the practice where they had like dining room tables and stuff on the practice field.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know about that.
Did you see that?
No.
So there was a report that they brought in a couple kickers for tryouts, right? And they were doing some like banquet or something. I'm not even lying to you.
Was it for the Beyonce concert?
Possibly.
Okay.
So they showed the practice field and they had nothing but like dining tables. And someone was like, "Is this what they had to practice with when they came in? These guys?" I'm not even. I was like, "Yo, there was so many tables and like it just looked like they were having a banquet or something on the practice field." So for those poor guys that they brought in to do that, poor guys. Real quick, your thoughts offensively and defensively of the 53 man. Any surprises? Anything that you caught or took away that that you didn't think that would happen? Like, I'll give you an example. Ronnie Bell, not a surprise he made the roster. He showed out in preseason. I think he's going to be. I hope it's not of the what the hell is his name? The preseason, or what's the name? Had a really good preseason. Caught the deep pass.
Trent Sherfield.
Yeah, like I really hope this is not what we're dealing with here. Because remember, he shined in the preseason. We thought we had some weapon, and then nothing ever happened after that.
Because he was a deep pass guy, and who didn't play as a deep pass quarterback?
Yep, he had they had the paper airplane quarterback.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm not taking shots at Brock because he.
Oh no, I was taking a shot at Jimmy.
Well, right, but for Trent Sherfield, like Trey Lance, they had the connection. I saw the same thing with Trey Lance and Chris Conley. Like there was some type of connection. For Ronnie Bell, I think he can catch from just about anybody. He was on all three of the teams, right? And so like
I feel that
things a little different, like for him. Plus, you can't teach dog. And you can clearly see that this
kid
watch
him after a game when he had his helmet off. He looked like he had a hard day. Like he looked like he worked a 9 to 5 with his lunchbox in hand, ready to clock
blue
out.
Collar,
like
100%, bro.
So blue collar. Well, he's from Michigan.
Yeah, Wolverines.
So I knew you love him beforehand, but you were probably just like.
So my affinity for that kid was like, so when I got a chance to interview him at the Senior Bowl.
That's awesome.
I just had a feeling his aura, the way that they treated him at the Senior Bowl was pissing me off because he got open on every play and the quarterback just couldn't get it there. The quarterbacks were like Max Dugan. There's one of them that's really good that I like. I think the kid from who did we play against? And was it a Raiders quarterback? Whoever that quarterback was.
Can't think fourth rounder?
Yeah. He was there. He was nice.
I know you're talking about.
But my point was like the quarterbacks on his team, they just couldn't get him the ball. And so like his stock was just like right. Like I'm just like, yo, if he's not able to show up and show out at these practices, which the scouts pay attention to, they don't really pay attention to the game. If you do anything in the game, it's just a highlight. But it's really what you do at practice consistently for those 3 to 4 days. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, dang, yo. And then it was like, yo, Aaron, nobody was interviewing him. It was like nobody even knew who he was, which of course I did, right? He's the Michigan guy. Aiden McDonald. Thank you, Kurt. You have been on it all damn day. I mean, all day.
Let me see. I should make Kurt a mod just because.
You know what, Kurt? You're about to be a mod on my channel as well. Seriously. But think about it though. So I'm like, yo, like, and I get it. In Michigan, it looked like he struggled a lot because because of the simple fact that he didn't have the quarterback. They were so inconsistent with quarterback. Was it going to be JJ McCarthy? Was it going to be the other kid, like Shane? Like it was bad, and so like he couldn't get into a rhythm, but he could get open. And so I'm like, yo, if he can find a way to show what he's capable of with these 49ers, he makes the roster, and he made the roster. So I wasn't surprised at him, but I was surprised that the Niners are weird. I thought that they would go off of who played the best. So to see Il Manning, who had a tremendous preseason, get waived, I was like, huh, interesting. And there was another player, Darrell Luter Jr., and I'm like, interesting. Now he was an undrafted sign guy or whatever, and so he had a very long shot. I mean, the kid from Hawaii, Il Manning as well. But at the end of the day, like I thought those kids would have had an opportunity. But then I started to think, man, like the 49ers are just different. There's certain positions that if you woo them, you're good. They have players that they want to develop, that they believe in, and those players will find a way to make the roster.
I feel like the Niners put work into guys that they have a preset feeling about, that they might not give the same opportunities to a guy who, a lot of us are banging the table for. I really thought the one thing I liked about Ronnie Bell is just the fact that he like you said, he was good, like no matter who was the quarterback, like what they were doing, every time he got the ball, even the commentators from other teams were talking about him and how he was impressive, and like he breaks tackles. I want him to not be that guy all the time though, because I feel like you get hurt when we have.
He was trying to make this team though. So
yeah, calm that mess down a little bit, run out of bounds a little bit. You don't have to always try to, bang into every single defensive player on the field to get a first down, like go out of bounds. It's okay. Because we see what happens to a guy like Debo. I love Debo to death. One of my favorite players on the Niners.
His style is very violent, and I get it, but
he gets hurt because of it. Same thing with Kittle. I mean, Kittle, it's a give or take you have to have with those guys. If you want them to be the player that they are, you're just going to have to resign to the fact that they're probably going to miss some games, and they're probably going to get hurt because of just how they play. Same thing with some of our defensive players who play crazy and fly into guys. It's just it's the style of this team, and you have to kind of resign yourself to the fact. I'm gonna wrap this up real quick because I know you said you wanted to eat dinner with your family, and I'm told my nieces are still over right now. I thought my sister picked them up, but no, it's not a bad. No, it's a good thing. I might have nailed. I think we might have nailed it all. Let's talk your channel, the Wayne Breezy. I mean, everybody knows who you are, but what the hell? We could talk your channel. What you got going on this week, man?
So the upcoming week, so Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the Wayne Breezy Show. At the beginning of the season, we're going to be having Aaron on Mondays. I believe we're working out that day, so he'll be joining me on that channel, so you guys can check him out.
I'll be off, so I can whatever time. You said it's 1 p.m.
Yeah, so we're on the same damn time zone, so that's
well, that's even better for me because the 11 one I can do because I on my days off I sleep in.
Got you. So
you
get
one's even better. So I could literally sleep into like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, absolutely. You can sleep until damn 11 o'clock.
So whatever.
If you want to. Like, you know what I mean?
I sleep until noon, take a shower, and get on the stream.
There you go. Boom. You ain't even got a plan for it. I'll just send you what we're gonna talk about at like 12:59. You'll get a itinerary. Here we go. Let's go. We click and start. No, I'm just playing. But no, that's Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. And then on Monday nights, Nitty Gritty Niners, that's with the crew, Moe's Peachy Fair. That's the all-star 49ers cast that we have over there on the channel. And then there's other shows like we do. There's going to be a pick show. So Mose and I will be doing a pick show. Mike and I will be going live. Mike from Nothing But Niners every day. We're doing a daily show. It's only 30-minute show at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's called No Harm, No Foul. And we're just going to get down and keep shit as raw as we can about a certain situation. That's about your 49ers, right? And so that's that. And then Peachy and I, we have our fantasy football show called What's Your Fantasy? That's Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Tuesdays and Wednesday nights. And then I do the All Madden simulation every week, which is fun. And now I'm thinking about doing a little watch party for some college football games when I'm available to do so. So had fun today. That's what we were doing before we started this. And we had a really good turnout. And that's why I say Kurt has been on it all day. I mean, the information, I don't know if he is the Encyclopedia Britannica, but he must have one right there with him because he just knew everything. And I'm like, yes.
Some people are just plugged in.
He's plugged in.
And that's cool. That's nice to have someone that's in the chat that actually like, not like banging on anybody. I'm just saying he's just he's paid attention. He's drank enough coffee today, so he's dialed in. Yeah, like Mondays with me, it's the Niners Coast to Coast show with Brian Culp, David McNiner, and Ty Alston.
Yeah.
We rotate that one. Tuesdays with Raj, usually at 10 p.m.
Yeah,
my main man Raj. Wednesdays it's me
7.
and Ted. And then me and you are going to be. We're kind of when it comes to the show on my channel, it's kind of a WIP because you are a busy man.
What's WIP stand for?
That's dope. Progress.
Whip.
Yeah, like we got that. You know, like I when I message you it's weird. I hate bothering people and messaging people a lot, but I have to because we started something. So like I'm not big on being aggressive and being needy during. So I always like preface it all my texts with you, but like, hey, just wondering, instead of being like, so Wayne, what's going on? Like.
It's all good.
You're like, you already know what's going on. You know what I do for a living. Stop asking.
I don't say that.
No, you're not. You're not like that at all. So like, it's like 4 shows a week. I think 4 is pretty much my limit.
That's a good solid work.
I think 4 is good because I don't like to do something to the point where I start to feel like I have a job.
Okay.
Because I took your advice. I'm not as popular as you as a live streamer. Just I'm not, and no knock on you. You're good. Like I was telling my brother about how you just because I know what you do for a living. I could tell you do weddings and you're a DJ. Like you have a certain level of organization, how you run your streams, how you kind of block out everything, and then do the super chats at the end. Dude, like I can't replicate that, but that's your deal, and it's great.
Listen, we'll do more, and you know what? It's all about learning from who you rock with. Like that's the best learning in the world. Like I was always the kid that they just threw me in the fire. I was gonna come out how I was gonna come out. So there's times I would fail, there's times I still fail, but the one thing when I was teaching, I would tell my students it's okay. It's all about how you learn from what you failed at. So if
the actual effort is the most important part.
Effort is always the most important part. And how can you learn from what you didn't do well? So like that's my thing. So if I mess up on something, if Kyle Shanahan messes up on something, if anybody messes up on something, it's okay to make the mistake. Admit it, move on, and show that you've learned from it.
Damn,
that's
dude,
what
8 cups.
I
usually only have 2 in the morning.
8 cups. What is that? That's like addiction.
Are you shaking after like the 4th or 5th? Because usually one of my hands shakes if I have too much coffee.
I gotta ask him, is it straight?
Are you going all black or are we talking
all black? See, I'm a liquor guy, right? So I'm like, is it straight or neat, right? You're like, you gotta go all black. Didn't even know the coffee terms. That could tell you I don't drink coffee. I'm not a coffee.
See, I'm a creamer guy.
Yes,
because that's how my nana used to make it for me.
After that, but I got you.
Yeah. So and then we're just looking forward to the season, man. It's gonna be crazy. It's going to be crazy. I forgot. I was going to say something else, but we're going to get out of here, guys and gals.
I don't know, but week 1 is approaching us, guys. 8 days to week 1. We're Steve Young days away. Get excited because it's about to be 49er football.
My nerves are starting to get I'm starting to get nervous. That's how I know the season's close.
I understand.
Because I'm like, oh God, what if we come out and just totally crap the bed?
Hey, it's just one game. That's my optimism now.
Yeah,
That's my
you're right.
optimism.
You're right. You're right. Everybody, thanks for coming through in the chat. Kurt, enjoy your wrench. And the rest of you guys and gals, I'll see you Monday. Wayne will see you on his channel, whoever cross-pollinates. And thanks, everybody, so much. Take care. Go Niners. See ya.